All right, so the numbers you need to look at when you are, job costing, okay? Now, first of all, what you want to do is you want to job cost twice. You want to do, as you do the quote, to make sure you're making enough money on the job. And then at the end of the job, you want to go back and look at, what ended up happening to see were you in line with what you thought, right? Because if you don't look at that, you maybe think you're making all this money, but then at the end, you might be losing money. You just don't know, right? So that was what we used to do, a year, 2 years, something like that, especially with all the constant price increases. It was really hard to kind of judge what was going on. So anyway, what should you be looking at? Obviously, you need the total price of the job. Okay, you need to know what your labor is going to cost you. You got to know what your materials are going to cost you. Okay, and the other thing I like to look at, and once you take those three numbers, that's going to tell you what your profit is, right? Now, a lot of people talk about the 50% gross profit and stuff like that, which we do not, we don't worry about. Okay, the reason for that is I'm a fence company, and we are, we do a lot of volume. So we're not like a remodeler where we're in there for weeks and months. We're in there in a day, 2 days, something like that. And because of that, the profit per day per crew makes a lot more sense. And then on top of that, if we're charging $10,000 for a project, there's plenty of people charging $8,000, and we're only at like 35% gross profit. So if we were charging 50%, we'd be closer to like $12,000. So to charge $4,000 more than another company for fencing, it just doesn't work out. You can sell it all you want. We're already $2,000 more, and that's an uphill battle. Okay. So anyway. So once you do it, before you send the quote, make sure you're making a certain amount. Now, before you even go any further, if I made a spreadsheet that actually makes this really simple, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to put in like what you need to make per year for your own self, your business, stuff like that. And then what's going to happen is you're going to put in a number of working days, how many crews that you have. And then based upon that, it's going to tell you how much that you need to make per day per crew. Okay. Now this is super important because if you need to make just say $1,000 per day per crew and you quote a job at $800, well, you're losing $200, right? And if you do that 5 days in a row, that means you're losing $1,000. If you do that for the entire week or the entire year, that's $50,000 that you didn't make that you need to make. And what this thing does is it will literally turn red if it's not, if you're not making enough money. Now, when you go back to figure out what you actually made off the job between the materials and the labor and stuff like that, if you end up putting in more labor than what it you thought it was going to be, or more labor or more materials than I thought it was going to be, it'll turn red. Why? So that way you know what you're screwing up on. If you're constantly wrong with the materials, we'll start upping your material price so that way you can account for it. So anyway, hope that helps. And it's in the Pro Bot. Have a good one.